Model groups are great for situations where there are repeating layouts. For example, in this exercise file, there are multiple exam rooms, and if they are going to have the same layout of furniture and equipment, we can create a model group and then place that model group multiple times. To create a model group, you first need to select the model elements that will be included in the group. I'll press Control and then I'll select the casework and then the bed. And then on the Contextual Ribbon tab, in the Create panel, I'll click Create Group. This opens the Create Model Group dialog, where you can name the group. I'll name this one Exam Room. And then you can select Open in Group Editor if you want to continue editing the group. And what that means is you can add or remove elements while you're in edit mode. But for this example, I'll leave it deselected and then click OK. And when I do, the group is created. And you can see that I now have a model group selected. And I can click in blank space and deselect it. And when I hover over an element in the group, the tooltip now says Model Group, and it shows me the name of the group. And I can simply select it all as one item. When selected, you can see the origin point, and you can click and drag to move the origin point. For this example, I'll drag it to the lower left corner of the exam room. And now when we place a model group, that will be the insertion point. For example, I'll deselect the group, and then on the Architecture tab, in the Model panel, I'll expand the Model Group button and click Place Model Group. And now I can place instances of the group. I will click in the lower left corner of the other exam rooms to place another instance of the group. In this case, I have some exam rooms on the top side here, and then on the bottom side the orientation changes. So I'll press Escape a couple times to end the command, and then we can use some of the Modify tools to place groups. So I'll select the group in Exam 2-4, and then on the Contextual Ribbon tab in the Modify panel, I'll click Mirror Pick Axis, and I'll make sure Copy is selected in the options bar, and then I'll select the center line of the wall and place a copy of the group. With that group selected, I'll click Copy to activate the Copy tool, and then I can copy it just like I would any other component. I'll place a few copies in the other exam room, and then I'll press Escape a couple times to end the command. So as you can see, it's pretty straightforward to create a group, and then there are multiple ways that you can place a group. Now, a couple quick notes on the elements that you would add to a group. You'll notice that we added furniture and the equipment, and really any non-hosted components can work really well in a group. When you start adding hosted components or even walls that may have varying orientations, then things can get a little bit more tricky when you begin to place those groups. And so you need to think through that process before you just begin adding multiple elements to the group. So in this case, we didn't add the doors because they are hosted in the walls, and so we just added the non-hosted components to make it really straightforward. Also, notice that when I select a group, there are a few options on the Contextual Ribbon tab. You can click Edit Group to then go into Group Edit mode, and then you can add additional elements to the group. You can remove elements from the group, and you can even attach detail groups. So if you had tags, that would be a situation where you could do that. I'll click Cancel, and then also notice that you can ungroup a model group, and when you ungroup it, then the elements no longer belong to a group. And then lastly, there's a link option, and you can actually convert a group to a link. And so the benefit of that is if you have something a little more complex than what we have here, where somebody would actually need to open it in another session of Revit, or a coworker could open up that group that's been converted to a link, they could work on it, and then the link could be updated in the project. So there's quite a bit of workflows surrounding groups. But the best thing to keep in mind is that keep it simple. That way, when you begin placing those groups, there won't be any overlap of elements, and then you won't have hosted elements that may be off on an actual host.